so many are doing for your children. Lord, these are your children. You made them, you formed them, you created them. And Father, they've been abused, they've been neglected. They've had a hard life. And so, Father, thank you that Kelly and Brody said yes to running Big Oak. And that Kelly heard your voice and said yes to Ascend. So, Father God, we just thank you for this ministry. We thank you that you are their provider, Lord God. And so give us ears to hear what you, Lord God, are doing in the ministry of Ascend and Big Oak Ranch. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. All right, Catherine, I want you to time me because, as she said, I want to honor your time and make sure that we have enough time to share what this place is and who this place serves. And the first thing I want to say is this building is beautiful. I would say every face that I looked at when you walked in, there was some amazement at what you saw. And know that we are amazed by what you see, and we're amazed daily when we get to work here. Yes, this looks like a West Elm magazine or a Restoration Hardware or whatever this looks and feels like to you, we understand this place is beautiful. And what I want you ladies to know, we do not hide behind blessing. God has blessed our ministry for 50 years, and he continues to bless our ministry. We do not start projects that are not fully funded. What you're standing in has been completely paid for. The construction that is happening today, and we do apologize for the construction, but thank the Lord, he went before us. The cement trucks are not arriving until after you leave. But we're pouring footings on phase 2 of our project, which has been completely funded. There's more to do in Ascend. I know you see an incredible building, an incredible place where our kids can receive supportive community. That's what you see, and that's what they get here. Scarlett can attest to that. What you're also seeing is phase 2 starting that we thought as an organization we would not start until maybe 2, 3, maybe even 5 years down the road. But the reality is Ascend is working, and more of our kids are making it and choosing a pathway, and they're successful. You remember the 12% number that I shared with you. I intentionally shared it because that's a sad number. But we also don't want to hide behind the reality of only 12%, less than 12% of our kids were actually finishing what they started before we started Ascend. And that does not mean our kids were not successful. What that meant was what they started or what they embarked on once they graduated high school, only less than 12% of them were actually completing what they started. You know, one of our values in Ascend is finish what you start. Right? We have to teach our kids to do that. We have to make sure we're pouring into this generation and giving them the tools and the resources to make that possible in their life. Since Ascend started, which it was launched in 2019, not this building you're standing in, but the idea, was the opportunity was offered to our kids for the very first time in 2019. Since 2019, over 65% of our kids are now finishing what they started. That's a 400% increase, y'all. Ascend is working. That's why we got and had the opportunity and were blessed by the support to build this place. This idea, serving our kids, it's not a new idea. It's just our turn to do it. And we have the opportunity and the platform to do it bigger and better. When my father-in-law started Big Oak, which I told you guys all about his story, and I spent the majority of my time telling you about the genesis of Big Oak Ranch because, y'all, those are our roots. That's our why. God called a man to do that. He said yes to it, and God has blessed his obedience in saying yes. And he continues to bless our obedience in saying yes and serving our children in this capacity. That's why we're able to have this place, because we're serving his kids. We're doing his work. I say this often to people. Every day I get in the car, I never have to think about what my purpose is. Like, I know the order in which God has put me on earth and how he's put me on earth to do the things that he's been gifted, or he has gifted me to do. You know, I'm a follower of him. I'm in relationship with him. I love my husband, my children, and next to that, it's serving our children of Big Oak. That's my order. And everybody at Big Oak knows that they have been placed on earth in that order, but to serve the children of Big Oak Ranch. I mean, that's an amazing gift. I never have to question my purpose. The purpose here is to serve our kids as a continuation of what they already get in the home. And all of you know that 18 to 24 is a very hard age, okay? And I like to ask the question, raise your hand if you got everything perfect from 18 to 24. If you did, meet with me. I need to know you. I need to learn from you. I need to understand how you did it. This is a challenging age. And 18 now is not 18 like it was in 1974 when they started. It's different. They're not finished. They need more. They're putting the finishing touches on their identity. And the world is telling them that they should have everything figured out. And they don't. They're trying to decide who they are, what they like. Is that faith really my faith? Is that what I believe? They're trying to decide, like, God, you've given me these gifts, but I'm not really sure what I'm supposed to do with it. They're becoming young adults. And so Ascend, this location, provides supportive community for them to be able to do that. We're going to break up into two groups. Why we're going to do that is because it would be obviously a more intimate setting, but also we're so grateful that so many of y'all came, but we truly can't fit 30 of you guys in one of the townhomes. So we're going to give you the opportunity to experience here in Ascend Village, in this building that we call the Ship, which I'll tell you more about that and what this building offers to our kids. So half of you will spend a few minutes with me in here. We will discuss the pathways. We will discuss how our kids get into Ascend. We will discuss the specifics of the grant request, what we're needing. And then the other half of you will be with Scarlett and Catherine in the townhome. Before we part, there's two things I want to do. I want to touch on the grant request right now so that it's on the forefront of your mind and you're wondering, okay, if you've been blessed abundantly, why are we here? Why do you need us? And so I want to answer that question for you. And then after I do that, I'll introduce our team, and then we'll part ways and we'll start a time. Okay? So we'll make sure we stay on time so that we have time to stay in here in the townhome, and then we'll gather together so that you have an opportunity to ask us questions. And we'll answer those for you. Why $100,000? Big Oak Ranch has been given the tremendous opportunity and platform to serve our kids in this way. We saw a gap in our ministry. We needed to fill the gap. And I don't always like to use the word gap. I like to use the word opportunity. And so we've stepped into that opportunity and we're serving our kids. Well, in serving our kids this closely and walking alongside them as they're pursuing higher education and navigating life struggles and figuring out who they are, putting the finishing touches on their identity, we've learned more about what they need before they graduate. We need to be educating them in different ways, in deeper ways. We have a deeper understanding of the things they don't have their junior and senior year. Even in living in a Christian home with a wonderful mom and dad, there's still more that our kids are missing in terms of their education. And so we need the funding to launch what we want to call Ascend Academy. It's an opportunity for a virtual online platform. It's taking our 411 curriculum, but expanding it. And we have the opportunity to impact kids right here in Birmingham. Our kids at Big Oak Ranch, but y'all, it's way bigger than that. It is way bigger than that. Big Oak Ranch alone serves more than 6,000 children that don't call Big Oak Ranch home. And so we have the chance to start it here in Birmingham, to put a place on the map with 100 shares of starting this opportunity in this virtual platform so that we can share it with all the other young adults across the country who are transitioning out of a group home, who are transitioning out of foster care, and they don't have any guidance. They have nothing. Why are these people ending up on the streets? Because they don't have a car and they don't know how to manage their freedom and how to manage money. They don't know how to go to class because a bell no longer rings. When you're in your senior year, you still rely on walking in school and you get to class real quick because you hear the bell. When you go to college or you go to your first job as an adult, there is no bell. What are we doing with our young adults? We're not teaching them how to transition well. And so we have the opportunity to do that and impact kids across the country. But start it right here in Birmingham because we have the knowledge and the experience now to do it. Catherine Brown is Director of Advancement for Big Oak Ranch. She has, I don't know how many conversations I've had on the phone with her in the past 4 years. I reached out to her to teach our kids how to manage their money because I have a 10-year-old and a 12-year-old. I'm telling him to pack his snack for school. I'm telling him to save his money so he can buy that extra toy he doesn't really need. I needed guidance because she has parented this age before. So I reach out to somebody who has the wisdom to help us lead and guide our kids. We developed a very deep relationship, 7 million phone calls later, and conversations and building and just a mentorship opportunity, and the Lord just finally said, Catherine, it's time for you to be on Team Big Oak, so she is. Scarlett, wow. She'll introduce herself to you, but we could not be more proud of her. She is such a light for Christ more than anything else. She has overcome a lot. She is able to speak about what God has done in and through her life already at such a young age. She has launched her own nonprofit. She works for another nonprofit here in Birmingham on Rivertime, they actually have an office here too. And she also serves as our resident guide, our Ascend resident guide, because she recently graduated from Sanford. Received a leadership award at graduation that we didn't know she was getting. And so I'll never forget that moment. We are so proud of you. You were able to lead and guide our young adults in a way because you have said yes to your future. And more than that, you have told the Lord, thank you. For the no's that she received as a child in her life, God gave her 10 more yeses. And she has stepped into that beautifully. And you have certainly used that as a platform. And not a crutch, not a weight. You have run with that. And so we love you. Our other team members are Jen, raise your hand. She is our education guide, and as you'll hear, she keeps saying the word guide. I serve as the Ascend lead guide. She is our Ascend resident guide. She is our education guide. We are not directing anybody. We are guiding our kids. We are walking alongside them during this transition of their life where they need people. Jen does an incredible job of encouraging and challenging. She is education all day long. Not only do our kids have advisors at school, but they also have Jen because they need more than just one advising appointment a semester to make it through. They need accountability, and she provides that for our kids, so thank you, Jen. Chris is standing closest to the door, hoping the cement trucks don't come sooner. Chris and Olivia know they actually, when you pulled in, there's a home on site. They live here. God has called them to serve our kids and to live on site here at Ascend Village, to be available to our children. They're not house parenting them, they're guiding them. They have 2 young, precious children of their own, a girl and a little boy, and he just celebrated his 1-year birthday. But God's called them here to teach and guide our kids during this transition. So we have an amazing team of people. We love what we do. We don't hide behind blessing, but we want to tell you more about Ascend and show you a townhome so you can actually experience where our kids get to live. And I'm going to leave you with this before we separate. People come here, people come to the ranch and they say, why is everything so nice? Why not? Just because a kid's parents decided not to be their parents or choose drugs or choose another relationship over their child doesn't mean that they deserve less. They deserve just as much as every other child that has the opportunity to live in a normal home whose parents said, you know what, I'll say yes to this job or this calling I have in my life. They deserve to be loved lavishly. And then we have to figure out all the hard stuff once they graduate. We show them real life. But they deserve this, y'all. They deserve the opportunity to have the same things. And through that opportunity, we also teach them the value of a hard work ethic. Staying in and staying focused on what God has created you to do and be. And that is our purpose here at Big Oak Ranch, but also with our kids through Ascend. So we will separate. It looks like there is a pretty good separation from this beam over. So if your best friend's over here, Figure that out. If y'all would like to take a refreshment, a water with you, please do that. But this first group,
Do that.
will
We're
go
gonna go
with
right out this
Scarlett.
door.
It's the restroom. It's the first door here on your left. So, as I said, this was a dream. And I want to give you just a quick understanding of my heart with me and Brady, like just coming back. When we came back to Big Oak Ranch, or when we came to Big Oak Ranch, rather, he came back because he was born and raised in Big Oak. I was born and raised in Mississippi, so I did not go to Alabama, and I just say roll tide now. It's not, it's just, I had to adopt that, right? I married into an Alabama family, but God prepared me to serve here. And I don't have enough time today to tell you my personal story, but just know that my childhood shaped me for this place. My favorite thing that we do is share 4 promises with our kids. We love you, we'll never lie to you, we'll stick with you, and there's boundaries. Having the opportunity to sit on the other end of a table or in a room and look at a child who's never heard those promises, y'all, that is life-changing. Like, that is the favorite thing that we get to do. And we actually do that 90 days after they are placed at Big Oak Ranch. And we do that intentionally because they need to see us live it out so that when we look at them and say, we love you, they actually can believe us. We'll never lie to you. At that point, they've had 90 days of trial and error of, I'm going to try and get them to lie to me, but they keep telling me the truth, right? So they can believe it. There's boundaries. Like we talk about discipline, right? Like it's healthy for you to understand that there's healthy boundaries in your life. There's rights, there's wrongs, there's things that will keep you on the straight and narrow so that you can get to where God has, is planning and wanting you to go. And then, we'll stick with you until you're grown. What does that mean? What does grown mean? If we could all say, well, everybody's grown. And it's kind of like we find a moment we're like, wait, you think you're grown at 21, and then you're really not, and then you have to overcome some things, and you might get married and have children, and then you kind of feel like you're growing up again because you're trying to figure out how to be a parent. So at the end of the day, what is grown? And so as we came back, we didn't step into a specific role, we just served our kids. And we began to see this need. And so once we saw the need, we wanted to fix it. We had a passion of filling that gap and building that bridge, and that's where Ascend came from. What Ascend does is it fills the gap between dependency in the home to independence, because there is a transition. There is a time period where they have to walk across that bridge. They're not pushed in a wheelbarrow across the bridge. We walk along with them while they're doing it. And so, when you're in school, you show up on time because you know you have to. Your coach tells you to come to practice because he reminds you to come. Your parents remind you to study. Your pastor at church is the one loving you and pastoring you through. You have counselors. You have advisors. You have an education coordinator in high school, right? You have all these people in your life that are keeping you on the track that you need to be on, right? Because as a child, if they didn't have that accountability, they would just be wandering, right? They would just be trying to figure out who they are and what they want to do. And honestly, how do most kids respond? They just respond to emotion. And so as we're guiding and teaching them in that, there is such a transition from dependency to independence. And so that's Ascend, is that filling that gap in their life and providing that for them. So what is Ascend? They have to apply for it. It's not a foregone conclusion that they're just in Ascend when they graduate. So there's an application process, there's references, there's essays, they have to apply for scholarships. They don't have to get them, but we just want to know that they're taking the initiative to want more for their future. And then as they embark on Pathway 1, which is what I want to refer to here, as you see, 3 different pathways. When you start Ascend, everyone starts on Pathway 1. And once you've completed Pathway 1, you have the opportunity for Pathway 2. And once you've completed Pathway 2, you have the opportunity for Pathway 3. So what does that look like in terms of education? Because all of them are pursuing a higher education. Pathway 1, they might be getting their certification as an esthetician, which we actually have a girl right now. Or maybe she's pursuing her medical assistant certification because she just dreamed of being a doctor. But we speak real to our girls. We speak real to our boys. If they have these aspirations, guess what? This generation wants to be told that you are capable of doing and then fill in the blank. They don't want to hear, you can be anything you want to be. They want truth. They want truth, and they want people in their boat with them to help them get there. And so in completing Pathway 1, they have then the opportunity to start so Pathway 2 might be their second year in college, maybe their second year at Jeff State if they're becoming a veterinary tech, or maybe they're wanting to do another trade. Maybe they finished their welding certificate, but they want to do one more because they kind of want to be a jack of all trades. Maybe they want to be a plumber, but they also want to be certified in HVAC. And so when we talk about school, we talk about higher education, I don't want you to think it's just UAB or it's just Sanford or it's just Jefferson State. We make sure that we prepare our kids for a path that they truly can successfully navigate. We don't want them to embark on something that is going to swallow them whole. We want them to experience success. Like, y'all, for a lot of our kids, they're first generation high school graduates. I mean, that is a mountaintop experience for their heritage and for their family. You know, and then to embark on more, it's even more challenging and it's harder. And so we want to make sure they have all the tools for success to complete those pathways. So let's take Scarlett, for instance. She started Pathway 1 and completed that successfully. So she had finished her freshman year at Sanford University. She started Pathway 2 and completed that successfully. So she had completed her sophomore year at Sanford University. After Pathway 2, they then have the opportunity to apply again for Pathway 3, meaning that would be a bachelor's degree at Sanford. Or maybe if they're an electrician now and they want to become a plumber too, and it takes the 2 years with all of the, studying and making, the internship and taking the journeyman, they might do that. So I want you guys to know that Pathway 3 doesn't just mean that that's a bachelor's degree, okay? It can fit our kids, but what we're doing is preparing them and using the way that God designed them to make sure we get them on the path that He has for their life. We pray often when we're guiding our kids, like, Lord, give us the discernment we need to guide them in the direction You would have them go, because this is not about our plans for them. This is about Your plans for them. And so that is what we do intentionally. We do that through 411 curriculum, which we'll take a walk in just a second. 411 curriculum is our room where we teach them what we call Life 101, life preparation, where we are spiritually, personally, and professionally preparing our children for the future. Look, we have 9 amazing trade schools, colleges, universities just in Birmingham, because people have asked us, why did y'all build this here? Why not? Birmingham, we have Sanford, we have UAB, we have Jeff State, we have Fortis, we have Body Logic School of Cosmetology. I mean, we have so many opportunities here in the city of Birmingham. So we're removing our kids from Gadsden or Springville, from the Boys and Girls Ranch, and moving them here for more opportunity. And they're getting to experience that transition in life with God's in their life to help them do that. So I wanted to camp out a little bit on 411. I know for me, when I was in college, nobody taught me Life 101 in college. Like, I was sitting in calculus, I was sitting in ethics, I was sitting in, business development, I was sitting in communication law. Like, I was sitting in all these amazing classes that helped me receive my degree, but nobody really taught me about life in there. Like, I just felt like it was just happening to me. And so, in the 411 room, it's after Proverbs 4:11. I'm teaching you the way of wisdom. I'm guiding you along straight paths. We are teaching our children and we are guiding our children. We teach them time management. We teach them money management. We teach them healthy relationships. We teach them effective communication. We teach them about resume building, interview skills. I mean, how to find your own faith, how to find your own church. We're preparing our kids to understand who they are, but to also successfully navigate that transition from dependence to independence. And they need that extra guidance and teaching to do that. One of my favorite things that we get to spend several weeks doing is teaching our kids about their personality. So we have professionals come in and they take lengthy assessments to talk about, their personality identification, their Enneagram, their culture index. If any of you have ever heard these, like, we want our kids to know, like, God has uniquely gifted you and designed you. You just have to know your unique gifts and your design, so that you can take that knowledge and run with that knowledge, and we help them navigate that transition. So as we teach them 411, it has shown us how much more they need their junior and senior year of high school. We can start this stuff sooner. We start talking about their future as soon as they'll let us, honestly. But we have specific meetings starting their freshman year of high school, like, we call them outlook meetings. What do you want to do with your life? I mean, guys, imagine sitting down with somebody who, they were locked in a room for weeks at a time, left with 2 cartons of milk, 3 loaves of bread, and their parents were drug dealers. And so, that 2 and 3 weeks at a time, you're locked in a home. You don't think about your future. You think about when you're going to eat next. Like that is so foreign to them to think about what they could do in the future. And so we make sure we start talking about that sooner, which is why Ascend Academy is so important. It's not just Big Oak Ranch. It starts here in Birmingham with our kids because we have the ability and the platform to do it, and we have the experience now. But we have the opportunity to impact hundreds, if not thousands, of kids that need this too. But we can start it here with Ascend Academy. So we will take our 411 curriculum and we will launch that into a virtual academy. And as we embarked on this idea, you know, this felt like such a distant dream. You know, like, wait, what are we doing, Lord? I don't know if we can do this. This seems so much bigger than us, and it is. That's the cool thing about Ascend Academy. This is way bigger than us. This is way bigger than Ascend. This is way bigger than Big Oak Ranch. This is way bigger than Birmingham. But if not us, then who's going to do it? If not us, then who? So we have the opportunity to launch this, to do this. And so we've been piecing together all of the curriculum, all of the teachings, all of the sessions, all of the topics, all of the things that our kids need here to make that transition. And it's going to take us 2 years to build it out. The licensing is $19,500. I mean, y'all, this is a big deal. And like I said, our dream is to have this funded so that we can do this. And know that if it stops with you guys, we will continue to search for this funding to do this because this is a need that has to be met. Like, we have to do this. We know we're serving our kids well here. And at the end of the day, I also want y'all to hear from the heart, like, we don't have all of this figured out. Like, we mess up every day. You know, we might have a conversation with a kid and leave that conversation and go, wait a second, maybe we should have said this instead. And I want y'all to know our heart in that we know we are constantly evolving and changing and learning, but know that our desire is to get it right. And our desire is to seek Him first for that direction so that we can get it right. If y'all will follow me, I want to show you the teaching room because if I was a freshman in college, that's where I would want to learn Life 101, so we definitely made it look just like Oak Ranch. We don't have Ascend. I mean, this is who we are. We are rooted in Isaiah 3. So they will be called oaks of righteousness, the planting of the Lord, so that He would be glorified. Everything that we do is for His glory. We are serving His children. That's who we are. And so we're rooted in that. We will remain rooted in that in everything that we do. You'll see a picture of my father-in-law. Hope changes everything. I'm not going to show you all of these videos because we would be here all day. But I do want you guys to take a peek at just what we're rooted in and how we got started. For our kids, for our Pathway 1s and our Pathway 2s. We have professionals come in here. One of my favorite teachings that we teach, and you guys, you know Meg Hightower, but her husband Bryce teaches how to be a rock star in your first job. And he teaches that to our Pathway 1 kids. And then for our Pathway 2, his session is titled, he's done this for 4 years now, his session is titled, Who is on Your Team? And guys, this is so important for our kids to learn this stuff. You know, I don't know that there's a college class available, you know, who's on your team, like, or how to be a rock star in your first job. They might touch on it, but in here they understand the value and the weight of choosing those things for their life. And so that is our construction. People have said, oh, that's fantastic. Is that a pool? No, we're not putting in a pool. Here's the reality. Because Ascend is working, and our kids aren't finishing what they're starting, they're staying in Ascend. They're choosing a future for themselves. And so by August, we're going to be full capacity here at what you see, which is 18 bedrooms. That's pretty incredible. You know, I have some friends, and they'll say, Kelly, I mean, I'm trying to figure out how to put my 1 through college. I just don't know how y'all are doing this 11 thing. It takes a village, which is why this is called Ascend Village. It takes a village of people to teach and guide these kids. How many of you have had kids in college? Okay, how many of you went to college? what got us to the next step or what got us to the next level. It takes a village of people. And so, like I said when I introed today, we hoped phase 2 would start in a few years, but y'all, we need it now. And so that will be 30 more bedrooms. We have 13 seniors next year. So you're talking at full capacity at 18 here. We have 13 more of just our kids here. And we hope and plan and are praying for the opportunity to serve kids outside of the walls of Big Oak Ranch and Ascend as well. And we have big dreams for Ascend to go way beyond Birmingham, but we know it starts here. And we know that we have the opportunity to launch this Ascend Academy so that we can begin to spread the word and to reach the kids that need that guidance while they transition. Why sit back and wait, right? We can do so much more with a virtual online platform, with what we've already started here. We just need the opportunity to do that. This hopefully will be done in the next year, and I'm sure if a lot of you guys do, travel to Scahawa River Road, we have lots of traffic. We have people that come in here and ask to buy one. And let it go for sale, but the good thing is, I have the opportunity to tell you what this place is, and they'll sit and stay for coffee. So I encourage you, if you have a friend or you want to bring somebody for coffee or whatever, we would love for you to reach out to us and do that here. We want people to know why we're here, what we're doing, and who we're serving. So we encourage y'all to come back. Before we leave the teaching room, do any of you have any specific questions? We're going to have a group Q&A, but before we leave this room, do any of you have any specific questions about 411 or about this virtual Ascend Academy?
The virtual Ascend Academy, then you said that to use with your 11th and 12th graders at Big Oak.
Yes.
Right, okay.
That's where we're launching it with. But
Okay.
our goal is to make that shareable so that other people in the country can use it as well. Because we have group
So if
programs all
another
over the
town,
country.
somebody somewhere else wanted to do it, they would set up something like this?
Not necessarily this campus, but we want them to have access to the guidance and the teaching to equip
Okay.
their children for that next transition. And we know this is our next step to reach more people, to initiate it here, to reach more people nationwide. Because, I mean, I
Right.
can talk about our need we see here at Big Oak Ranch, but y'all know this is much bigger. And this is our opportunity to put our thumb on the map here in Birmingham and start this here. And we have major impact here, but we want it to go even bigger than that. Thank you for that question.
Do you know yet how long they can, like an individual can stay here on this campus?
So maximum amount of time they'll stay on this campus will be 4 years, or sometimes it might be an extra semester depending on, in all of our minds, it's like, well, it takes you 4 years to do a bachelor's degree. Well, a lot of degrees right now, they're incorporating like all of these group studies and all of these different things, and so there might be an extra semester, of an extension, but it's going to average about 4 to 4.5 years that somebody stays here on this campus.
Do they have to pay anything?
That's a great question. So their tuition is covered. They have to pay what we call scalable rent, but that rent money goes into basically an investment account specifically for them. And so they pay that directly to themselves, and once they graduate and complete that, they get all of their rent money back. And so not only are they graduating debt-free, but they're graduating it. If you completed it in 4 years, you're looking at around $17,000 to $18,000 that they're getting to start their life with, or buy a new car, or whatever they need to make that transition. So yes, this is definitely a tremendous benefit to these kids.
Can we have it to use with our ranching?
Yeah, I love this. So I recently was at someone's home, we're just talking about this, and they said, my kid needs this right now. They started it all in back at home. And I need this guidance. And so y'all, in those moments, I'm like, that's why creating this Ascend Academy allows us, some people call this the black hole of society, 18 to 24. We put all this expectation on these kids to have everything figured out. Their brain's not fully developed until 26. And so the opportunity we have to make this, let's get it right with us here in Birmingham. Let's launch this and then be able to share it so that people can make this transition so much better. Thank you all so much.
I've got one more question.
Yes.
So, will y'all be teaching this curriculum in their school that they're in now? This is for the 11th and 12th graders?
So it's going, instead of hours, we're looking at it in terms of topic. So we're breaking it down to the simple topics of time management, money management, healthy relationships, effective communication. And so once they start it, there's going to be parts of the platform that might take them 4 or 5 hour long sessions, and depending on how fast they read, how fast they can complete the curriculum, what their response, how long it takes them to do the responses. And so it's really not going to be a specific 3 credit hour. It's going to be a completion in terms of a certificate that you've completed this transitional STEM Academy curriculum. Does that answer your question? So it's going to be specific to the child. It's kind of like when they get their driver's permit. Some of them it takes them 5 times to take the test, right? And some of them they get it, within 2 weeks. So, yes. Thank y'all so much.
I'm sure y'all got to hear about the pathways, so this would be for pathway 1, pathway 2. And I'll just share a little bit logistically how they're laid out, and then I'm going to share a little bit of my story and going through SIN as well. But all the townhomes look the same. They're mirrored on both sides. I'm not sure if y'all are able to see the door right next to mine, but the boys' townhome looks just like this, just on the other side. There's 1 bedroom downstairs, and there's 2 bedrooms upstairs. And then there is obviously living room, kitchen, and then over here is actually a built-in laundry unit, which is really nice. But this just really creates an atmosphere for our ascendants to, 1, learn how to have a roommate, because we all know that's a life skill everyone needs to learn. And then also be able to develop community together. Like Ms. Kelly mentioned earlier, I get to serve as the residence guide, so most weekends or late weeknights, because college students only like to do things at 10 o'clock at night, the ascendants will be in here. We'll watch movies, watch TV shows, airplay TikToks, all the things. Ms. Catherine's here, I'll let you do your spill now.
Okay, great. Isn't Scarlett just precious? If we could just package her. She is our spotted unicorn. They come around once in a blue moon, and it's just been a joy to watch her grow. So I just want to give y'all a little bit of background on what we're teaching. Kelly may have hit on that a little bit. I think all of y'all can think about your children and the conversations that you have with them growing up. I said earlier, I have certainly felt this way. If I could have merged my children, I would have like the power child. But they were not going to merge, and they were very different, and they required very different playbooks. And that's what we're trying to do here, is learn that child's playbook. We are not going to support every child that Sanford says yes to if that child is not built to go that route. Scarlett was clearly built for that. So we're spending a lot of time on the front side making sure that where we have them, the path that they're moving toward is the right one or a viable one. Because they've gone through a lot up to this point, and we don't want to feel responsible for encouraging them on a path that is going to end up possibly not going well. They don't need another devastating thing going on. So I think I'd love for y'all to just think about some of the things that you learned in your family unit through the people that influenced you. That could be coaches, that could be grandparents, parents, whatever. How to maintain a car, or know what to do when that car is making that funny noise. How to buy medication, know whether you need to go to the doctor or not. How to dress for a funeral or a wedding. How to introduce yourself to someone. All of those things that at this age you think, well, man, I just kind of know that. You know it because it was modeled for you. You know it because somebody walked up and said, hey, Scar, we need to talk about so-and-so. And they pour into you and they guide. So time management, money management, how to have a hard conversation with your employer, how to have a hard conversation with a friend or another ascendant because they're all living so close together. What we're doing here is very granular, but very, very important. It's really those building blocks. Our house parents do an incredible job of getting them to this point. But y'all, 18 is not cooked. Can I get a good amen? Right? We all know that. We are just trying to collectively stand in that space for what that child is showing us that they need. And they're doing great, but most of them are at a deficit because of what they've been through, whether it's academically, socially, exposure, just whatever, and in many cases, a culmination of all of those things. So, real quickly, the 2 buildings that are going up, those will have more single living opportunities. So here, Scarlett, did you talk about kind of how this was set up?
I did, yeah.
You did?
Yep.
Okay, great. So we will ultimately be able to have 51 students here. And that will not necessarily always be just our Ascend students. We want to be able to offer this opportunity to some other organizations that operate like Big Oak, that have kids that are graduating from high school that don't have a defined next step. Because there is a lot of failure in that 18 to 24 right now. It is hard being a young person, and especially if you don't have guidance and someone kind of pouring into you. Yes, Missy?
Will that curriculum be used for these other kids outside of this ministry?
It will. It
Okay.
will. Ultimately, we're not at that place right now. So this is what we're asking 100 Shares for, is to really do the videography, all of the editing. The platform where it will sit requires a pretty handsome subscription. And so that's what we're looking to do with this. But with everything we do with Big Oak, we want to share it. We have something called Planting Oaks, where we bring in 3 times a year groups of people who do exactly what Big Oak does or a version of it. And we just kind of give them our playbook, from finances to events to this is how you gather a board, all of those things. So this is an extension of that. We feel led to build it, but we absolutely want it to bless as many people as it can. Great question. Okay, Scarlett, you want to pick back up?
I will.
Okay.
I'll just share with you guys a little bit of my backstory and then my experience in Ascend. I moved to Big Oak when I was 10 years old. I had previously lived with just my mom. My biological dad was never in the picture. I was an only child. And I remember what I like to say, the first moment I experienced the Holy Spirit was when he filled my heart with excitement to come to the ranch. And I was so excited to have a bedroom and siblings and a mom and a dad and to live in a house. And I think saying I loved growing up at Big Oak would probably be an understatement. There was never a dull moment. I have so many fun memories with my sisters and one little brother. I love my house parents so much, and I credit so much of who I am to them, and just the love that they have shown me that really just revealed the heart of the Lord and just how much He loves us. And yeah, I wouldn't be me without them, and Big Oak too. But my senior year of high school was when, of course, everyone's starting to decide what college they're going to go to. You're applying for scholarships. You kind of have in your head what the next 4 years is about to look like. And like Ms. Kelly mentioned earlier, Ascend started in 2019, and I was part of that first group to go to Ascend. So when I started to hear about this blueprint of what Ascend was, I had the 18-year-old panic of, this cannot happen, because I had decided what I wanted my life to look like, and it was about to look really different from what I expected. I had one version of a path that I wanted to pursue, and because of Ascend, it kind of tailored that path to coming to Birmingham and going to Sanford, which I love so much. And I remember while I was at Sanford, I remember I just sat back and I was watching all of my friends over a series of months have these like breakdowns, whether it was they were changing their major, or their dad took their credit card and they were gonna have to get a real job, or they were gonna have to cook at night because their mom was like, you're eating at Chick-fil-A too much. And I remember sitting back and being like, I've just never had that like emotional breakdown moment by the time I was like sophomore, junior in college. And I always like to share that story because I credit so much of that to Ascend and what they do to become an extension of what we had at Big Oak, but to come alongside our college students as they're transitioning into young adulthood, not just academically, but personally and professionally. And I know y'all got to meet Miss Jen, and I just think about when you're in college, at least for me, who's someone that loves order and control, and I had my moment where I was like, I want to change my major, this is not it. And you are freaking out, but to have someone like Miss Jen that's able to come alongside you and walk with you through that season and think about what are your giftings, what do you like to do, what's another major you could go through, what's maybe if you're getting a certificate like some of our kids get, what's another certificate that you would want to look at pursuing. And then also Miss Kelly for me was actually a close mentor of mine starting in high school, but then to have her come on the Ascend team when I was in college too and have that personal and spiritual guidance to walk with you through young adulthood. I think as being a young adult, we all desire someone to come alongside with us. We want a mentor, we want someone that can walk with us and show us the right pathway to walk down, but sometimes I think we don't know where to turn to find that, and we are not going to be the first ones to ask for help. And what Ascend does such a great job is providing a space where our kids don't have to wonder and they don't have to look, but they are able to have that trusted support that they can believe in, and that they know that our team is able to have the best in mind for them. So I loved college so much without any breakdowns, of course, because of just the love and support of Ascend and how much they truly care about the success of each child, and what God's designed for each of them to do. So I just want to share a little bit of my story, and of course have the opportunity for y'all to ask any questions if you have any, and to look around this townhome as much as y'all would like.
Any questions?
I have a question, and this may have been answered, so I'm sorry if this is redundant or, so does everybody at Big Oaks go to the same high school? I guess my question is what does that look like, high school for everybody?
Yes, so Westbrook Christian is the school that was acquired by Big Oak years
Okay.
ago, 30 years ago. I think a little bit of what John and T could see, okay, we've got to figure out a way to educate these children in a way where we can be involved. A little bit like we're seeing now, okay, we've got a gap here, we need to figure this out. So Westbrook now is a 4A school. There are about 700 students. And so if you are in that area, Gadsden, Greater Gadsden, and are looking for private Christian, that's kind of the place to go.
Okay.
Yep.
That's
I
Yeah, but we've
graduated
got-
from there.
You
When it was
did?
Westminster before it was
Yeah.
That's where I was
That's
at.
awesome.
So, well, look
Just
at
thought I'd
here.
throw that in there.
Yeah.
It's before it was Big O.
Yep.
So, just another question, I'm still just trying to get my arms around it all. Okay, so before Ascend was this, there was an Ascend program. What did that look like for you? Was it just a group of people and you would meet with them, or?
So previously, I can't remember if I mentioned or not, that I was part of the first group to go through Ascend. So before that, if you wanted to go to college or pursue a higher education, it was like more power to you. We will financially support you. But as far as that extension of Big Oak, personally, professionally, spiritually, there just wasn't really that aspect at all. Not because no one wanted to do it, it's just you didn't really realize that it was a need that we were able to fulfill. So all that I had to look at ahead was, I'm gonna go to college and I'm gonna do my thing, but Ascend was able to provide so much more than I could have even imagined during that. So Ascend was not a thing before I started through college.
So when you started, was Ascend, like, where did y'all meet? Who
Oh,
was a
okay.
part of the team? Did y'all meet regularly, or, like, what did it look like?
We did. So we still met regularly. We had our touch point meetings. They were called something completely different, but we would just meet at an offsite office space that Big Oak would rent out.
And so they brought in at that point, people from the community to teach different things, and that's how I got the call, hey, can you come teach basic financial management to this group? And I said yes, and business owner would come and speak about being a great employee and all sorts of other things. What was really interesting though is we got feedback from the kids that they said, we really don't want new faces every week. We prefer to have the people we know teach us the different things. And which is a little bit different than probably how some of us would feel like, new face, new voice, great, that'll be entertaining. But we really wanted to honor where the kids are coming from and what they're telling us and try to keep that consistent. And so we all wear a few different hats, and are able to, learn what we need to teach them. I had to do a little talk on taxes. And I can do basic financial management, but taxes is a whole different animal. So I had to do a little crash course before I taught them, but I think it was okay. Nobody got in trouble. Everybody filed on time. So it was all good. All good. Anybody else?
So they wanted a relationship with the people that were teaching.
They want trust and consistency.
Yeah.
Brody is great about saying our kids listen with their eyes.
Yeah.
What you say to them is not worth anything. They want to see you show up. They want to see you do what you've said you're going to do. And that's when they start to buy in. And that's nobody's fault. It's just a fact. And we have to make sure that we really honor that with all of their relationships with the kids that are coming in. We have to remember they don't know us as well as the ones who have been around for 3 or 4 years. But Scarlett is such a great go-between because she is what it looks like to graduate from college, have a job, have a nonprofit, just doing it all that they all want to do, but they don't have anyone in their world that has done that. And so they can attach that vision to her, which is priceless. So it really does take a village. Like I used to say that, but it's taken on a whole different connotation. We all have different roles, but our roles merge lots of times to be able to support that child in the most comprehensive way that we can. Anyone else? Okay. Unfortunately, I think we have to walk back across.